Hi everyone, you are welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are looking at multi-period capital rationing. In some of the past videos, I've discussed the concept of capital rationing, in which capital rationing is a situation whereby you have restriction of capital. So, if there is shortfall of capital, and we have viable projects in which we want to invest on, we then tend to do what? To ration the available capital within the investable project that we have at hand. It is said that any project with positive NPV must be invested on. But in a situation where we have limited finance, so we then tend to do what? To ration the available fund on the projects that we have at hand. So that is what we talk about under capital rationing. So we now also said that we have subdivision of capital rationing, whereby we have single period capital rationing and multi-period capital rationing. Under the single period capital rationing, we have discussed where a situation whereby we have the scenarios whereby we have divisible projects, indivisible projects, mutually exclusive projects, mutually independent project. So this is a situation, and I said that single period capital rationing is a situation whereby there is restriction on capital for a single period of time, for a single period, usually 1 year. But in a situation whereby we have restriction on capital, the shortfall in capital, which spans more than one period, we terms that as what? Multi-period capital rationing. And this is exactly what we are looking at today. So under the multi-period capital rationing is a situation where there is shortage of funds in more than one period. The single period capital rationing is a situation by what? There is shortage of funds for only one period. But under the multi-period capital rationing, this is a situation whereby we have restriction of funds, shortage of funds for more than one period. And in trying to analyze a multi-period capital rationing, we normally face a kind of complex situation. Why? Because of the multiple limitations and multiple outputs. We have certain multiple criteria, which is going to condition our solution under multi-period capital rationing. We should go to condition our decision under when we are faced with multi-period capital rationing. So in a situation where we have the multi-period capital rationing and we have multiple limitations and multiple outputs, all the multiple limitations, we have constraints for the capital available. We have other constraints that are available that we have to contend with. So multiple outputs, we have various of outputs for different projects. So in a simple term, if we are under multi-period capital rationing, we are going to adopt the linear programming model. The linear programming model must be applied to identify the profit maximization means of investment. To use the linear programming model, the following assumptions must be made. That is, there are some assumptions that need to be made when we are to use the multi-period, when you are to use the linear programming model under the multi-period capital rationing. One of the assumptions is, one, the proportion undertaken for each of the projects available are the variables. The proportion undertaken for each of the projects available are the variables. So what do I mean by this? it is said that some projects are divisible. So in such a scenario, if we are unable to do what to undertake the project wholly in its entirety, so the portion in which we undertake will form part of the work, part of the variable. That's what we said about. That's what I mean by what the proportion undertaken of each project, of each of the projects available are the variables. If also we can undertake all the project in entirety, so they form what the variables. What I mean by that, it is what the capital outlay for each of the project. That's what I mean by that. Okay, the second assumption is the NPV. NPV means net present value. The net present value are linearly related to the proportion of each to the proportion of each project accepted. That is, the net present value will also tend to do what to work with the proportion undertaken. If you are able to do what to undertake a project in its entirety, take for example, we undertake 70% of the project, it means you are going to enjoy 70% of the NPV as well. So the third assumption is what projects are infinitely divisible. Projects are infinitely divisible. The fourth assumption is cash limits year by year form the constraints. Here, what I mean by this is that for each of the period, so this is under multi-period capital rationing. For each of the period, we have constraints. And the constraint is what is the finance available. So the constraint is what is the fund that is available that is not enough to do what to cater for all the projects positive NPV. So the cash limit will now form the constraints in each of what the cash limit the fund available will form the constraint for each of the what for the period. For period 1, period 2. The cash limit for period 1 will form the constraint for period 1. For cash limit for period 2 will form the constraint for period 2. So as the case may be. A single objective function that is to maximize NPV at the company's cost of capital. So we are also working towards a single objective function, which is what? To maximize the net present value of the company using what are the company cost of what? Capital. So this is what we mean by what? Multi-period capital rationing. And these are the assumptions underlying the use of what? Of linear programming under multi-period capital rationing. In simple terms, for us to solve questions under multi-period capital rationing, we have to use the linear programming model. And the linear programming model has some assumptions which are enumerated here. So these are the assumptions under the linear programming model in which we are going to work with when we are faced with questions under multi-period capital rationing. So let me quickly give us the solution steps. The solution steps to follow under the multi-period capital rationing. Solution steps. So let me clear up this and let me highlight the solution steps. Let me read the solution steps. one is what? Calculate the NPV. NPV means net present value. Calculate the NPV of all the projects. Projects with negative NPV will be disregarded. So solution step 2 is what? Use the NPV calculated. Use the NPV calculated to form the objective function. Which is what? That is maximization of shareholders' wealth. State the constraints attached to each of the variables. In the form of inequality equation. The fourth assumption is state the non-negativity condition of the project. Negativity condition and that none of the projects can be repeated delayed or brought forward. That is non-repeatable assumption. Non-repeatable assumption or non-repeatable condition. Now, these are the solution steps. Calculate the NPV of all the projects. Projects with negative NPV will be disregarded. Use the NPV calculated to form the objective function, that is maximization of shareholders' wealth. state the constraints attached to each of the variables in the form of inequality equation. 4. State the non-negativity condition of the project and that none of the projects can be repeated, delayed, or brought forward. That is non-repeatable condition. Non-repeatable condition. Now, these are the solution steps in which we are going to use to do to form our linear programming model. Use this to form our linear programming model. Also, we have some limitations to the multi-period capital rationing. We have some limitations. One of the limitations to the linear programming model is that, one, it assumes that variables are linearly related. It assumes that variables are linearly related. So, this assumption that variables are linearly related may not be appropriate for a situation which may be better represented by a curvilinear function. Also, one of the limitations to the linear programming model is that it assumes that projects are divisible, or that scalar multiples of projects are possible. But besides, note, not all projects are divisible. Yes, not all projects are divisible. We have some projects in which you either accept it or reject in entirety. You cannot divide it. So that's another limitation of linear programming model. Another limitation of linear programming model is that it assumes that the return of the projects are in proportion to the amount invested in each project. That's just an assumption. Not necessarily what the percentage in which you invest in the project you are going to do, what you are going to receive back as what as benefits. So one of the assumptions is that you receive the percentage in which you have invested, in which in most cases it's not possible. You will receive more than or less than what the proportion of what your total benefits of the project in which you have invested. If you have invested 70%, the assumption under the programming is that you are going to receive 70% of the benefit as well. But it's a limitation. One of the limitation is that it's not in most cases in which you are going to receive a certain percentage in which you have invested, also like what in return as seen what percentage in which you have invested. So that's another limitation of linear programming model. Under the limitations as well, uncertainty is ignored. Uncertainty is ignored. I think it's assumed that all future cash flow are available and available resources are known with certainty. No. So that's another limitation of linear programming model. So we also have a host of other limitations of linear programming model. Now let's quickly formulate one linear programming model for us to do or to see what I'm talking about. So let's formulate a linear programming model. Let's formulate a linear programming model and see how it looks like. Let's say for example, we have project A, B, C, D. Let's now say their NPV is NPV of project A, let's say is 60. NPV of project B is 80, is 75, 90, and what? 100. So let's now say in a multi-period, these are the NPV. So the constraints, so period 1, year constraint. Constraints, so for year 1, constraint, that is, I'm talking about fund available now. Fund available. Fund available. So for year 1, the fund available is, let's say for example, is 225. So for year 2, for the second year, the fund available is let's take 175. Let's take it that way. 175. Let's now say the capital required. So for projects in year 1, so year 1, so projects A, B, C, D. So the capital required for project A in year 1 is 100, 50, 100, let's say 150. Let's say, okay, 200, let's call it 200. So in year 2, the second year, the capital required is, for each of the projects, 100, 150. Let's take this one to be 50-50. 50, 30. Okay. Now, if we are to formulate our objective function now, this is the scenario in which we have. Our objective function which is what? Maximization of shareholders' wealth, allocation of NPV. It will now be what? 60, these are NPV. So it will now be 60A plus 75B plus 90C plus 100D. That would be our what? Our objective function. That would be our objective function. So let me put the constraints here. So I'm looking at here. I'm going to put because I'm looking at the space here, so I'm going to do what to accommodate it. Okay. So in other words, subject to so for the first year, this is the fund available, this is fund required, and this is the fund available. So it will now be what? 100A plus 50B plus 100C plus 200D less than or equal to the fund available in year 1, that is 225. Okay, let me put it there so that it's able to cover it to see it clearly. So now the what? Subject to what? 100 of project A, 100A plus 50B plus 100C plus 200D less than or equal to the fund available in year 1, 225. So for the other one, for year 2, so 100A okay, plus 150B plus 50C plus 30D less than or equal to, what is it, 175. So we now have it as A, comma B, comma C, comma D. So this one will form equation 1, and this one will form equation 2. A, comma B, comma C, comma D greater than or equals to 0. Greater than or equals to 0. So A, comma B, comma C, comma D less than or equals to greater than or equals to greater than or equals to 0, less than or equals to less than or equals to 1, less than or equals to 1. So we call this non-negativity assumption and non-repeatable assumption. Non-negativity and what? Non-repeatable. So by this, we have formulated linear programming. So just assume that this is the scenario in which we are faced with. We have the project, and these are the MPV given for the project. And this is a fund available for year 1, this is fund available for year 2. So these are the capital required for each of the projects. For under year 1, we have for project A, 100, project B, 50, 100C, and project B, 200. So for year 2, we have it as well like that. So now to form the objective function, which is maximizing of NPV. So the NPV is what we are going to do, what sum it up together here, which will form the objective function. So which are subject to what? To the required fund. So 100 of A in year 1, B in year 1, on and on like that, less than or equals to the fund available in year 1. So also for year 2, we have all these there. 100, 150, 50, 30, less than or equals to fund available in year 2. So we now form our non-negativity assumption, which is what non-negative condition, which is what A, B, C. The project greater than or equals to 0. Non-negativity, so because it's non-negativity cannot fall below 0. So non-repeatable A, B, C less than or equals to 1. So on this note, I come to the end of capital rationing. So this is the last part of what of capital rationing, which is what the multi-period capital rationing. So by this, you're going to do what is give you an insight into what we meant by capital rationing, whether you face a single period or multi-period. So at this note, this is the end of capital rationing. Please, you are feel free to do what to comment on these videos. Anything you think I need to know on this video, anything you want me to do or to explain, yes, anything you want me to explain, just put it in the comment section. I'll be glad to do or to receive your comments and respond to it appropriately. So at this juncture, I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for viewing. Please don't forget, if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, like the videos, share the videos, and I'll be glad you do that. Thank you very much.